today we will be removing some intrusion bars from a Fox Body door to lighten them up considerably. If anybody's had one of these off, they know how ungodly heavy they are. Before we get started, I just want to mention that we do not want to do this on a street vehicle. We don't want to do this on anything that doesn't have some secondary means of occupant protection. This particular vehicle already has a full roll cage in it, so we feel safe doing this. Again, we are removing a safety piece from the vehicle. The entire purpose of this bar, called an intrusion bar, is to keep side impacts from entering the cockpit. So some of the tools that we use to disassemble the vehicle, obviously your typical hand tools, we're not going to go through that. But older Fords tend to have a lot of rivets in them, so a lot of people will use a hammer and hammer out the core of the rivet. I typically will take a belt grinder, and grind the heads off. It does mar the paint a little bit, but it is faster, and if you're careful, it's not going to remove too much metal. So some of the tools we'll need to actually do this project won't take much at all. 1/8" drill bit. We have double-ended ones in case they break off. And a spot weld cutter. And there's different versions of this that can be purchased. Most of them will work. You will need something with some sort of a long shank on it though, so that we can get down along the sides of the door shell. You're also going to need obviously a drill, and we will need a cutoff wheel. This is an air powered one. You can use electric. Some of the battery powered ones might be a little too big to do this, but for sure you're going to need a brand new cutoff wheel. If you don't have a brand new one, we're not going to be able to reach, we won't have enough throat to get down to the deeper parts of this intrusion bar when it comes time to cut it up. Some of the videos that we've seen actually do this project, we are not the inventors of it or anything like that, but the ones that we've seen have actually, people have cut this inner shell from the door to get access to this. We would like to avoid that for multiple reasons. Obviously cosmetic things, you lose actually more strength if you do that. Also, some people want to put their interiors back in, so if we leave everything intact, that's entirely possible. So it's a little bit harder to get in there in the right angles, but if you have these tools or something similar, it shouldn't be too hard at all, and it should take from this point around an hour. We're going to start with drilling out some of the spot welds that hold this bar in on either end. Basically all that's holding this thing in is 9 spot welds, 5 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and another 4 on the front edge of the door. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Your particular vehicle might vary. They didn't continue to manufacture these the same, so there might be one more, there might be one less. So we're going to start by center drilling each one of them with the 1/8" drill bit. We do not want to drill all the way through. We just want to dimple it first so that the spot weld cutter has a safe path through the shell of the door. This one might be a little bitch to get out. For the spot weld cutter bit, I'm using a 5/8 bit. This is overkill for what we're doing, but we do have some awkward angles that we have to get in there. So the bigger bit will help us actually hit our target. If you pick a cutter that's too small, chances are you'll end up struggling to actually get that separated from the shell. So we're going to use a bigger bit, and just deal with the bigger holes a little bit later on when it comes time to weld them up. Okay, so next step, once you have the spot welds taken care of, drilled out, we're going to move to the inside of the door. This can get a little bit tricky. You should probably wear gloves and safety glasses for this. We have to get way inside either side of the door shell here to make a couple cuts through the intrusion bar. And to do that, we're going to fish in through this bigger hole here. And we're going to make a couple of cuts right through everything without dropping all the way through to hit the skin on the other side. We have to be careful not to damage the skin. So a little bit of a tip on this, for sure have a fresh cutoff wheel, and I would recommend making your deep cuts first. So if we make all these deep cuts first, we'll be sure not to run out of throat of our cutoff wheel when it comes time to cut the rest. Okay, on the front side of the door, we have to actually fish in through the top and stay in the lowest part of the door, which is above the intrusion bar. And then once we get back, we should have room to make our cuts on the front edge. Okay, so now all we're going to do is grab this middle piece and lift up carefully. We don't want to twist too hard. If you twist from the top down, you're going to be twisting towards this structural piece in the shell, so we have less chance of damaging this, the skin on the outside there if we peel towards that. Should be able to hopefully fish this up and out through the top door. Okay, piece one. We got lucky, all the foam came with it. So once that's out, that's piece one. There will be 2 more to follow. And that's where that goes. Okay, so piece 2, we just need we actually got pretty lucky here. We got our spot welds drilled out completely. Sometimes you miss a little bit and you have to drill a little more or get a pry bar or screwdriver or something in there to bust them free. This one's pretty loose. We just have some foam holding it and right out through that hole. Okay, so for the front edge, they seem to be kind of wild with their spot welds on here. Obviously, these were their targets, but I think they maybe double stamped this one, or there's seam sealer and stuff in there that's a little bit harder to get that free. So the last piece might be a little bit more challenging to get out of there, but there's a couple of things we can do to help free that up. For most people, screwdriver is going to work fine. Obviously, we've been using this one how we shouldn't quite a bit. You say not to use screwdrivers for chisels because you're not supposed to hammer on them. But from time to time, it'll work as long as you're safe with it and careful. Specialty tool that gets used in the body industry all the time. This is called a seam buster. It's made by Steck. It's designed to get in there in between flanges and whatnot to get in there and hammer through spot welds and stuff like that. It's just a hardened piece of steel that's probably a safer tool to use in this case, but not everybody's going to run out and buy a $50 standard screwdriver. Okay, we're just going to jam that in between the shell and the third piece of the intrusion bar, and we're going to try and break that free. Whack my thumb. So I did have to drill a little bit deeper into those. It's better to inch into it rather than just go ham right off the bat. We do have the part that we're trying to protect up here. So I did drill a little bit more and we did get those to break free. So that piece is about ready to come out. So that's basically the removal of the intrusion bars on the Fox body. This could be a Mustang or Mercury Capri. But pretty simple process. It's a little bit more of a pain to get in there. It probably takes a little bit longer if you don't cut this stuff out. But overall, it's going to be a lot better look. We're going to come back to these areas and make thinner sheet metal pieces to go behind here. And we'll redo our spot welds to clean that up. Restore strength in that area to finish the job off. So if this is something you're looking to do, again, be very careful and choose wisely what vehicles you're doing it to. We don't want to do this in your daily driver that's out on the street. We need to make sure that you have some sort of secondary protection if you do remove this from your vehicle. So with this project has obvious performance benefits. We're lightening these doors up considerably. We're actually going to go ahead and we will weigh these parts and see how much we actually remove from the vehicle. It's not going to be a huge amount, but we're talking about weight that's on the upper half of the vehicle, so that's a good area to be removing weight from the vehicle. So we will post at the end of the video how much weight these actually removed, and hopefully you enjoyed watching.